The story begins on November 7, 2018, at 4 p.m. in the town of Paradise, California. A school bus driver named Kevin was dropping children off at their homes after school. After dropping off all the kids, Kevin parked the bus at the bus depot. His boss Ruby informed him that his bus was still due for maintenance. Kevin asked Ruby about extra shifts. He needed the extra money to cover his expenses. But Ruby said there was nothing available at the moment. She told him, "I'll let you know." Kevin headed home. He received a call from the doctor saying his dog's cancer had spread. Kevin would need to take him to the vet. At home, Kevin's mom was there. His son Sean had come home from school because he was sick. Kevin told him school was important. Sean shot back, "Not to you, it wasn't." The truth was, Kevin had dropped out of school because he was about to become a father, and he didn't want Sean to make the same mistake of not taking school seriously and struggling later in life like he did. Instead of listening to Kevin, Sean turned up his music to full volume. Kevin got angry and said, "Wait till you have to pay bills." The two of them got into an argument. Sean snapped, "I wish you were dead." Kevin took his dog to the vet. These were his dog's final moments. Kevin had owned him since he was a puppy. The next day, strong winds caused an electricity cable on the top of a hill to snap, and a fire broke out. The fire began spreading rapidly due to the wind. A red flag wildfire warning was in effect for Paradise. Ruby told Kevin that the mechanic would service his bus today, so he needed to be back on time. Kevin took the bus and headed out. Meanwhile, the wildfire was growing. A truck passing by reported it to the fire and rescue department. They immediately informed CAL FIRE. 2 fire brigade trucks were dispatched to extinguish the flames. Extremely strong, dry winds were blowing through the area. The firefighters realized the fire had been caused by an electric cable, but reaching it wasn't going to be easy. They pushed forward along narrow, winding roads built into the mountains. Meanwhile, as Kevin was picking up children, his mom started calling him repeatedly. Kevin didn't answer right away because he was working. When he finally picked up, his mom told him Sean's condition had gotten worse. But just then, Kevin received a command from base saying once the drop-off was complete, to bring the bus back for maintenance immediately. Kevin said, "I'll fill up on fuel and come back." Kevin told his mom to check Sean's temperature. On the other side, the firefighters still couldn't reach the fire. There was no path forward. They'd have to find another route. All this information was reported to CAL FIRE Division Chief Ray Martinez. Paradise was still far from the fire, so they didn't think there would be any issues there. Sean wasn't talking to Kevin on the phone. His body temperature was 101 degrees. Kevin said, "Mom, I can't talk right now. I need to get the bus to the depot. I'll pick up medicine for Sean on my way home." Just then, Chief Ray was informed about another fire. This one was on Rim Road, north of Concow. This was far from the original fire. This fire had also been caused by a power line. Chief Ray got angry at the PG&E lineman. He said, "We gave you a red flag warning last night and told you to shut down the power lines. Shut down all the lines right now." Just then, an engineer named Hopkins radioed Chief Ray. "I'm in Concow, and a very serious situation is developing here." Hopkins suddenly spotted spot fires in the area. They were spreading incredibly fast. Visibility was disappearing rapidly. This area was also far from the other fires, and the power lines there were already shut down. Chief Ray analyzed the situation and said, "This is all one fire. It's all one damn wire." A single fire was spreading at a terrifying rate. He dispatched his resources to Concow. Ruby informed all her drivers about the fire, saying, "You know the drill. Keep listening to the radio." Ruby told Kevin to get to base quickly, or he'd miss his afternoon route because of the maintenance. But Kevin still needed to stop and pick up medicine for his son. Meanwhile, Engineer Hopkins began helping evacuate people who didn't have vehicles. He loaded them into his truck. Meanwhile, on the other side, he got a call from his wife Linda saying Sean was texting her, asking her to come get him. Kevin said, "That's not necessary. He's sick and I've already picked up his medicine. Everything's fine. I can't talk right now, I'm at work." Linda replied, "I'm at work too, and Pete and I are supposed to be going to Colorado tonight." Kevin was hurt hearing this, but he cut the call and reported the smoke he was seeing to his base. Ruby said, "Forget the smoke. Just get the bus here fast, or you'll need to find another job. On the other side, Chief Ray was dispatching fire brigades to Concow, but by the time they got there, it would be too late. Engineer Hopkins was barely able to drive his vehicle. Air tankers were deployed to fight the fire, but due to the strong winds, they couldn't hit their targets. Chief Ray told Hopkins to head to a bridge and take shelter in the water. Hopkins stopped the vehicle and told everyone to get into the water. Everyone quickly got into the water. The fire would reach them soon. The fire brigade trucks couldn't reach them because the roads were blocked. The fire reached the people standing in the water. Chief Ray tried to communicate with Hopkins. There was no response. Everyone thought they hadn't survived the fire. But then a response came through. They had survived, but everyone was seriously injured. Hopkins reported that the fire was rapidly advancing toward Paradise. Back in Paradise, Kevin also noticed fire brigade trucks racing by. He left a voicemail for his son saying, "Sorry about last night. I picked up your medicine. I'll be home right after work." He told him about the fire in Concow and said, "There's nothing to worry about. Just keep an eye on Channel 7 News." Chief Ray issued evacuation warnings for several zones in East Paradise. But when they tried to send out the evacuation warning at Town Hall, it failed due to a signal error. The scene shifts to an elementary school. They didn't want to wait any longer for an evacuation order. They started calling the children's parents. But some of the kids had parents who worked out of town, so they'd need to take those children to an alternative collection point where their parents could pick them up. Kevin got another call from Linda. She was calling him unreliable. Kevin admitted his mistake, that he didn't realize his son was really sick. He didn't want to argue with her about this. Linda said, "This was the first weekend I was going away with someone else since we split." She continued, "I know everything's been hard for you since your dad died, but think about Sean. Your life is a mess, and he doesn't want to live with you." Kevin loved his son deeply. Getting emotional, he sent Sean another voice note saying, "I need to know that you're okay, buddy." Kevin decided to go straight home instead of going to the depot. But just then, Ruby informed all her drivers that they were evacuating East Paradise. Any driver in that area needed to get out. If they had any children with them, they should take them out of town to the Chico depot. At the elementary school, parents started taking their children away. The children whose parents couldn't make it would be transferred to another elementary school according to orders. Parents would collect them from there. But there were 23 children here. They needed a bus to get them out. The school principal called Ruby. Ruby asked all her drivers if anyone was nearby. No one was on that route except Kevin, who was headed home. Kevin now faced two choices. Either go to his son, or pick up these children. Kevin found himself saying no, but then told Ruby, "I can get them." Ruby said, "Okay, we'll do the maintenance later. Just get those kids out." Kevin arrived at the elementary school. He wanted the children to board the bus quickly, but the teacher, Mary, had to calmly get these young kids in line. These were small children. They couldn't panic in front of them. They had to do everything calmly, and this was taking time. Kevin said, "Hurry up. Understand the urgency of the situation." They got the children onto the bus. Kevin told Mary she'd have to come along too. "I can only drop the kids off. I can't manage them there. I need to get to my family." Mary informed the principal and left with Kevin. Kevin wanted to take a different route, but Mary said they'd go according to the plan. At that moment, at least 15 miles of traffic was trying to get to Chico. Chief Ray arrived at his headquarters. He wanted to evacuate the entire area, but if he did that, the traffic would prevent his fire engines from getting into town. A man from PG&E named Mark Rogers also arrived. Ray told him, "Just shut off all the power in town." Ray gave the order to evacuate the entire town. But on the other side, all communication between Ruby and Kevin had been cut off. They couldn't talk to each other. Kevin's cell phone wasn't working either. His was the only bus left in East Paradise. As far as safety protocol went, the bus only had a first aid kit and a fire extinguisher. Mary asked Kevin about himself. Kevin had only moved back here a few months ago, but he'd grown up here. And because they'd left the school late, they were now stuck in traffic. Ruby informed fire control that they'd lost one of their buses in East Paradise. Kevin changed his route. Mary said they needed to stick to the plan, but Kevin replied, "I'll just be stuck in traffic here." and the fire was rapidly advancing toward them. All the children started crying, frightened by Kevin's driving. But Kevin's only concern was somehow getting these children to their parents. Mary was an asthma patient. Back at base, Ruby received instructions to evacuate. Even as she was leaving, she kept trying to contact Kevin, but it was no use. On the bus, Kevin and Mary were talking. Mary had been married for 19 years and had a 15-year-old son. She was supposed to go pick him up, but she'd had to come here instead. Now her sister would bring him. Kevin and Mary just needed to get these children to their parents. All the children were terrified. The situation in the area was getting worse by the minute. Even the hospital had caught fire. Chief Ray told his people, "This isn't a wildland fire anymore. This has become a town fire. We need to save our people however we can." Kevin's bus got stuck at a roadblock. Mary asked, "Your family will get the evacuation alerts, right?" But Kevin hadn't signed them up for alerts, meaning they wouldn't receive any. And Kevin's mom didn't know how to drive. Just then, a nearby house caught fire. Mary pulled the children away from the windows. Kevin told Mary to sit in the driver's seat. Mary didn't know how to drive, but now she'd have to. Kevin got out and went to talk to the traffic officer himself, telling him he had children on the bus. But the traffic officer was stuck himself. He needed to clear the traffic so the fire engines could get through to fight the fire. Kevin started clearing the traffic himself. He moved cars to the side. Mary brought the bus forward. Kevin got back in the driver's seat. They were just 1 minute away from their drop-off point. Mary said, "You could be a good traffic cop." All the children were happy that they'd soon see their parents. But the elementary school where they were supposed to go had completely burned down. Mary got off and looked around. There was no one there. Kevin and Mary didn't know what to do now. Mary said, "We'll have to take these kids to Chico. Then we'll come back and get our own children." Just then, a girl got scared and lay down on the floor. Mary comforted her. Kevin drove the bus out of there. Meanwhile, Chief Ray found out about Kevin's bus, that there were 22 children on board. He learned about the power lines that firefighters had to cut through them to move forward. They still had electricity running through them. Chief Ray got furious at PG&E, asking why they were still on. The PG&E representative explained that the automatic power was off, but shutting down the manual switches was taking time. Kevin and Mary had 2 routes left to escape. One route was extremely narrow and filled with 180-degree turns. The bus wouldn't make it through there. They'd have to take the other route. Then a child said, "You don't know where our parents are." This child, Toby, was scared. Kevin had him sit up front next to him. This boy only lived with his mom. Kevin said, "We'll get you to your mom." But on the route they were taking, power lines started snapping and falling. Kevin drove carefully, trying to protect the bus. Electric poles were falling right in front of him. He took the bus off-road, crashing through fences as he pushed forward. But ahead, the road was completely blocked. They'd have to try going through that narrow road. On the road, people were on fire. Looters even attacked their bus. One man had a gun. Kevin stopped this man from getting inside. He turned the bus around. On the other side, Ruby reached Chico. All her buses were there except Kevin's. On the bus, the children were thirsty and feeling hot. Smoke started coming in through the AC vents. They had to turn off the AC too. Kevin was now in a park he used to come to as a child. From here, a path led to that other road. Just then, a girl started having a panic attack. She needed water, or she'd have a stroke. They'd have to stop and find water. Mary said, "You stay here. I'll go outside so if the fire comes, you can take the children away." Mary went out into the smoke looking for water. She couldn't find anything anywhere. On top of that, she was an asthma patient in all this smoke. Mary found water bottles in a house van. Kevin started calling out to her. Things were starting to explode because of the fire, but Mary somehow made it back. Kevin drove the bus out. There was nothing but fire all around them. He couldn't find any way out. The children were screaming. Through the smoke, they somehow found a way out. Back there, Ruby was telling all the parents that the children had been evacuated from the elementary school, but they hadn't heard from them since leaving the school. When they learned a new bus driver was driving that bus, the parents became even more worried. But Ruby said, "I can vouch for Kevin. I have complete faith in Kevin. You need to have faith in him too." Kevin was now driving on that narrow road. There was only a little space on either side of the bus. Just then, people started coming from the opposite direction. They stopped Kevin from going forward, saying there was fire ahead. Kevin stopped them from going back, saying, "Don't go back. There's fire behind too." But these people said, "We have to take our chances." Now Kevin couldn't go forward or backward. He got off the bus and went to a ridge to look at the fire. There was fire all around him. Kevin came back and said, "We can't go anywhere. We have to stay here." Mary said, "We can go out on foot." But Kevin replied, "These kids won't last 2 minutes." Mary said, "So what, we just stay here and wait?" Kevin answered, "This is the only place where there's no fire. Everywhere else is burning." Mary said, "What if the fire comes here? What will happen to these children?" They were out of options. Kevin tore his shirt into small pieces so he could wet them with water and create filters for the children. Kevin taped over the AC vents so no smoke could get inside. Meanwhile, the firefighters' water supply had run out. There was no pressure left in the nearby hydrants. People were dying in their cars, running on foot from the fire. Hearing this, Chief Ray said to focus only on saving lives now. Inside the bus, everyone's condition was deteriorating. Kevin stopped Mary from getting up. He told the children himself to stay away from the windows. He tried to keep them distracted with conversation. The children were asking if it was getting dark. Kevin explained, "No, the smoke has just come between us and the sunshine." Toby said, "I want my daddy." Kevin replied, "I know, and he is doing everything he can to get to you." Mary told Kevin they should let the children sleep. "It's better." But Kevin said, "No, we can't talk like that ourselves." Mary said, "I only left paradise once, and that was for 2 weeks to go to Ohio. I thought I'd always be safe here. If I followed the rules, everything would be fine. But if I get out of here, I'm going to take trips. I'll take my son to Legoland." Kevin said, "I spent my whole life trying to stay away from paradise, and now all I want to do is make a go of it here." He continued, "When I got the call to pick up these kids, I thought maybe I could earn a second chance if I just got the kids out safe. Except second chances don't always work that way." Kevin explained, "I talked to my father 28 years ago. We got into a fight. He came at me like he usually had and done so many times before, and I snapped that night. I went at him screaming. I slammed the front door and cursed his name. Told him I never wanted to see him again. Then he said, 'I wish you were dead.' A few years after that, my life went to shit. And a few months ago, when I was working a night shift, I got a call from my mom that Dad was very sick. Kevin drove all night but was late. His father died. He was late as a son, and now he was late as a father." Kevin started crying as he told this story. But just then, a fire broke out right next to them. Kevin tried to put it out with the fire extinguisher, but there were multiple fires. Their extinguisher ran out. Kevin tried to put out the fire with his clothes, but the situation was out of control. The fire wouldn't go out like this. Kevin went back to his bus, but now the bus wouldn't start. He put Mary in his seat and opened the hood. He removed the air filter, and the bus started. Kevin now had to drive the bus through the fire, weaving between fallen trees that were already burning. He navigated the bus through them. Fire was everywhere, with their bus in the middle. The children were screaming. Kevin drove through the intense fire with a burned hand. In the end, all his effort and courage paid off. They made it out of the fire. Kevin brought the bus to the Chico depot. Parents were reunited with their children. As Toby was leaving, Kevin told him, "Good luck." Mary thanked Kevin. The two of them hugged. Everyone applauded for Mary and Kevin. Mary also reunited with her family. Kevin told Ruby, "Time for maintenance." But Kevin still had to find his family. He didn't find his family's name at the lost and found. Kevin started looking around. He found his mom there. Their neighbor had brought them. Sean was with his mom. Kevin's mom said, "It's for the best." After the fire ended, Kevin went to his house. It had completely burned down. Kevin found a burned photo of himself and Sean there. Just then, Sean came up from behind. The two of them hugged. His mom was watching them. And with that, friends, our story comes to an end. Let us know in the comments how you liked this explanation. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.